Uncle Ronald's stuff. Today it is a quick little one on this, which came from Leaksavers at the bottom here. Right there. Leaksavers. This is a sealant that you put in your HVAC system to seal a potential leak. And I had a mini split which had developed a leak, and I want to believe or hope that it was around a flare where the tube is not, it's flared up at the end and then screwed on. It was out of connection, and this is a typical HVAC type connector. You can see inside of there, this one has whatever that valve is called, and the other end also has a valve that has both ends. Those valves have to be depressed for the liquid that is in this small tube to get into your HVAC system. Okay. In my particular case, since I had a mini split, the only way I could get it to work was the example they give right here. Let's see, was this way, and that is the refrigerant into the middle of your gauge set, and I had to connect this right on the low pressure port right there. I had to connect this on this end. Get it right. Let's do it again. I had to connect this right here onto the low pressure port of my mini split, and this one I had to put a hose on and attach it to the middle port like this again. Attach it to the high side gauge, this side, the blue side of my gauge set, and then I had the in my case R410A hooked to the center. So when I opened this valve up over on the blue gauge valve, the suction line then pulled the cool sealant out of this and the 410A. Well, I'm going to do it backwards. Yeah, the 410A went in like this and then back into my system, and it flowed through this sealant. That's how it got done. I don't know if it fixed my leak or not, and this would only be for again, I think where connectors come together. That might be if it fixes that. Anything other than that, I doubt it does it. I've used cans before. I think new, whatever it was, they've been selling cans of sealant that you can put into air conditioners for a long time. This is a new sort of arrangement, and it sure is fancy and made well. I don't particularly care for it, and the reason is I had to put an adapter on this end from my mini split. That was known, and I expected that, and I had it. And this end, of course, had to go onto one of my gauge hoses. But what I found was both of these ends, you had to really crank down. The hose that comes on this end, it depresses the valve in that end of it. You have to really tighten it. I actually had to put a wrench on the threads here because I didn't want it tearing loose from the plastic back here. I actually had to put a wrench on it and then take and put this connector on here, and I had a soft set of vice grips or something. I really had to crank it, and I had to do the same thing with this end. It wasn't going to do just finger tight, and that's the point I'm trying to make. That's all I'm warning you about, is finger tight connections at the high. It's a low pressure port. Low pressure, yeah, the low pressure port. And a finger tight connection to your hose going to whatever it's going to. They have to be really on there to depress both of the valves at either end. I've seen people complain that they couldn't get anything to flow through it. That's the reason. You have to really crank these things tight, not finger. You're going to have to use some pliers or something on it to do that. And that's the part I didn't like about this. Also a little concerning, the total amount of sealant is just right here. I don't know how much sealant was in those cans I used to get, and they still sell them. The cans like $70, $80. This is like 30, 40. But you can sort of see, I mean, it's really made well. I mean, the metal work on it is great, except really hard to connect. But there's not a whole lot of sealant you're going to get in your system with one of these. Has it sealed my system? I don't know. I don't know exactly where the leak is. I'm hoping it's just at a fitting, what's called a flare. Anyway, if you get one of these, remember, finger tight at either end is not going to do it. That's enough. This is Uncle Ron's stuff. Today I was talking about I think it's called Leaksavers. I was talking about one of these Leaksavers to seal up and that's all I got for today. And today is the 7th of September already.